This is macOS Ken.
Warren Buffett still big on Apple, Symbiosis for India and Apple around smartphones, and Disney CEO hands out free eBooks. It is Thursday, the 13th of April, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. The Oracle of Omaha is still into Apple, though not into the processors that make the gear run. Apple Insider highlights comments from Berkshire Hathaway founder and principal Warren Buffett. He got into TSMC, the company that produces Apple silicon chips, in a pretty big way last year. Reports had Berkshire investing north of $4 billion in the Taiwanese chip maker. Less than a year later, though, he had cut that investment by about 85%. Though he sees TSMC as a well-managed company, another piece from Apple Insider has Buffett explaining that Berkshire Hathaway has better places to deploy its capital. He's also cited international trade tensions with China as another reason for backing off the chip maker. While he is not into the processor maker that powers Apple stuff, he is still very much into the Cupertino company. Speaking this week with Becky Quick, host of CNBC's Squawk Box, Buffett could not say enough positive things about Apple, how it's a wonderful business, how bought-in iPhone users are, and what a great CEO the company has. On the user buy-in, Buffett says, if you're an Apple user and somebody offers you $10,000 with the only proviso that they'll take away your iPhone and you'll never be able to buy another, you're not going to take it. If they tell you that if you buy another Ford motor car, they'll give you $10,000 not to do that, you'll take the $10,000 and buy a Chevy instead. I mean, it's a wonderful business. We can't develop a business like that, and so we own a lot of it, and our ownership goes up over time. As for the company's CEO, Buffett says Tim Cook understands the business and has managed Apple in an extraordinary way. According to the magnate, Tim Cook is the classiest CEO. You can catch the pertinent parts of the Buffett interview on the Twitter feed for CNBC's Squawk Box. As important as India is to Apple, Apple is looking pretty important to India right now. TechCrunch has new numbers on the subcontinent's smartphone exports, which have grown in a very big way. The report says India's smartphone exports have more than doubled, reaching over $11 billion in the fiscal year that ended in March, based on data from the India Cellular and Electronics Association, as well as government officials. That $11 billion beat New Delhi's target of $9 billion to $10 billion in smartphone exports, according to the report. And now the crazy part, and the part that makes Apple important to India. Despite its relatively recent start making iPhones in India, Apple appears to be the country's biggest exporter of smartphones. According to the report, Apple made up almost half of the total exports, with an estimated $5 billion to $5.5 billion as per industry analysts. Samsung Electronics, the South Korean giant, ranked second with about $4 billion. And Apple is reportedly planning to expand. TechCrunch cites a report from JP Morgan a few months back that had Apple looking to produce 25% of all iPhones in India by 2025. That is bound to please the country and give Apple a bit of sway. Ashwini Vaishnaw, India's Union Cabinet Minister for Railways, Communications, Electronics and IT, is quoted in the report saying, with the doubling of exports of smartphones to more than $11 billion, India is well on its way to become a leader in the mobile device market of the world and play a major role in India's electronic exports. It was a weird 24 hours for an update that you can't prompt, that has no details, and you probably wouldn't know about even if you had it. Mac Rumors ran a piece Tuesday saying that Apple had released new firmware for AirPods, AirPods Max, and AirPods Pro. As with nearly every AirPods update, details were scant. Bug fixes and other improvements was all Apple had to say about version 5E133 in its release notes. Even more scant than details on the update was the update itself. Late Tuesday afternoon, Apple Insider updated its story on the update, saying that the update wasn't there and actually never had been. That site's story said Apple briefly released, then pulled the firmware update. Later, their story on the update was updated, saying no updates took place because the link to the actual update was never provided. Just kind of folded in on itself, it seems. Instead of providing the actual update link for the AirPods to follow, Apple Insider said Tuesday that Apple published a link to an internal system that would return an error to the AirPods attempting to update. The update was actually published on Tuesday night, and there's still nothing you can do about it. There's no standard way to upgrade the AirPods software, according to Mac Rumors, but firmware is installed over the air while the AirPods are connected to an iOS device. So just relax, comfortable in the knowledge that Apple is sticking something in your ears to do some unspecified thing at some unknown point in time. Really this time. Having a more normal time, though perhaps straggling a bit, were the releases tvOS 16.4.1 and the 16.4.1 version of the software for HomePod. iOS and iPadOS 16.4.1 were released last Friday, as was macOS 13.3.1. Each of those addressed security vulnerabilities that were reportedly under active exploit. They also brought bug fixes and performance improvements. So what's the word on the tvOS and HomePod updates? Well, there isn't any. Okay, there's not much. According to Apple's release notes for the update on the HomePod, says a piece on the releases from Mac Rumors, it includes performance and stability improvements. Apple does not provide release notes when installing tvOS updates, but it likely includes similar performance and stability improvements. And nothing in the way of security, it seems. A quick trip to Apple's security updates page says the tvOS 16.4.1 update lists no published vulnerabilities. As developers go, so go participants in Apple's public testing program. I told you yesterday that Apple had released the second betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.5, macOS Ventura 13.4, watchOS 9.5, and tvOS 16.5 to members of the developer program. Now a couple of pieces from Mac Rumors say a slow roll has begun for Apple's public testing people. One report has the second betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.5 out to the public program, while another says the same for the second beta of macOS Ventura 13.4. If you're in the public testing crew, you know what to do. If you're not, but wish you were, joining is free and easy at beta.apple.com. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. If you've been considering a home security system, spring into action with SimpliSafe. I love how simple SimpliSafe makes protecting your home. From flood sensors, to smoke detectors, to security cameras for inside and out, I like that you get to pick just the parts you need to feel protected. I like that setting up my sensors, keypad, and base station took me under an hour, and I like that I didn't have to have strangers in my house for that protection. Not that you're out there on your own. SimpliSafe is designed with cutting-edge security technology and powered by 24/7 professional monitoring that will not break the bank. SimpliSafe's round-the-clock monitoring costs under $1 a day, less than half the price of traditional home security systems. What are you waiting for? Spring into action. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/macOSken. Go today to claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off your order with interactive monitoring. SIMPLI. That's simplisafe.com/macOSken. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. We'll wrap the day with the mystery of the physical eBook. I told you yesterday that the eBook, Make Something Wonderful, Steve Jobs, in his own words, had been released by and through the Steve Jobs Archive. It's the one that has pictures of Apple's co-founder and former CEO throughout his life, as well as text of speeches, emails, and other writing over the years. And it is free. Available through the browser, downloadable as an EPUB, and of course, available through Apple Books. Apparently moved by the book was Disney CEO Bob Iger. So moved that he gave away this free ebook. Daring Fireball's John Gruber posted part of the text of a letter from Iger to Disney employees who received the gift, writing in the letter of his friendship with Jobs and of their shared passion for music, travel, and design. Iger said, "We also were enthralled by the intersection of great creativity with groundbreaking technology. Steve once said that combination made his heart sing, and I saw that happen to him on many occasions." The letter indicates that Iger had a hand in helping the ebook happen. Extolling its virtues, Iger's letter says what makes the book different is that it's a collection of Steve's own words, drawn from his speeches, interviews, and correspondence. In these pages, we are offered a glimpse into his unique and wonderful mind. In a sense, this book is another tool from Steve, a resource for you, the reader, to spark the creativity that lives inside all of us and make your own mark on the world. Saying that his friendship with Jobs was one of the most surprising parts of being Disney's CEO and is one of the things for which he is most grateful, Iger wrapped the letter saying, "I hope that you find the following pages as inspiring as I have." Heartwarming and inspiring as Iger's letter is, it prompted a question from me. Is this ebook available in physical book form? To find out, I went someplace I had never been before, Mastodon. Gruber got the text of the Iger letter from a picture of a physical letter sent to him by a little birdie. When Iger talks about the following pages, sure sounds like he's talking about physical pages, doesn't it? This was a question someone raised on Gruber's Mastodon. Did Disney employees get physical copies of this book, and could other people get one too? Gruber responded saying, "It's not available for sale, but with significant quantities going to Apple and Disney employees, I wouldn't be surprised if some show up on eBay. Otherwise, you seemingly have to know someone." Man, can you imagine how much an unopened one of these things will be worth one day? macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/ macOS Ken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.